0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
If you want to be relevant in the WNBA, the best way you can do that is to attach your name to Caitlin Clark's.
But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark?
Kelsey Plum is going absolutely nuts after getting roasted by experts for taking a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark. The same Caitlin who's literally carrying the league on her back while Plum's out here acting like showing up to a protest is the new stat line that matters.
Kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell.
It's honestly wild that someone collecting checks off Clark's hype has the nerve to call her uninterested. Kelsey Plum really thought she did something with that little dig, didn't she? Sitting there at the post-game press conference, acting like a high school mean girl with a mic, she casually drops that 0 members of Team Clark were present at the shirt protest meeting, as if Caitlin Clark was just out here skipping team bonding time for fun. Except there's one problem. Caitlin wasn't there because she was injured. Not dodging, not ditching, injured. And Plum, who plays in the same league with access to the same injury reports and press statements as everyone else, 100% knew that. Which makes this less of a comment and more of a hit job.
This is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow.
What makes it worse is that Clark did support the protest. She wore the same "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirt, even while dealing with a groin injury that benched her from the All-Star game in her home state. But somehow, that still wasn't enough. Plum tried to paint it like Clark ghosted the cause, all while knowing she physically couldn't be there. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was calculated. That moment wasn't about unity or activism, it was about getting a dig in while the league's biggest star couldn't clap back in real time.
Make sure you pay them enough, at least so that they're not going overseas. What does it say about the salary structure in the WNBA that the whole reason that Brittany Griner was playing in Russia is because in Russia, that has not so good of a record of human rights, pays their women's basketball players better than they do here in America. That's the whole reason why she was there.
But guess who was sitting right next to Plum? Sabrina Ionescu.
We had a very, that really needed to be mentioned.
That was ridiculous. That was childish, and Sabrina had to let it be known. I don't really think that was necessary. She trying to laugh it off, but Sabrina's not feeling you saying that.
And the second Plum made that passive-aggressive remark, Sabrina's entire face turned into a viral meme. She rolled her eyes so hard it nearly became the most honest thing ever broadcast from a WNBA press conference. That really needed to be mentioned, she said, dripping in sarcasm. And the room? Dead silent. Because everyone in there knew Plum had just shattered the united front illusion in one messy sentence.
Talking about the WNBA, it is hard for me to differentiate what people really mean and what people are just saying for attention and what people are saying for clout.
The whole point of the shirt protest was to show league-wide solidarity, to make the statement that every player, no matter the team, was pushing for better pay and respect. But here comes Plum, turning it into some bizarre attendance check. She didn't just call out Clark, she called out an entire roster of players from Team Clark, knowing the main name on that list, the one who actually drives ratings, sells tickets, and brings money into this league, wasn't even in the building to defend herself. That's not just shady, that's self-sabotage.
But it was completely unnecessary, didn't need to be said, and certainly, putting it out there publicly doesn't help anyone's case.
The WNBA's Pay Us What You Owe Us shirt protest had one job, show solidarity. Instead, it turned into a masterclass in how to torch your own credibility. The league pulled off this stunt right before the 2025 All-Star Game, with players walking onto the court wearing those bold shirts demanding better pay and fair treatment. The optics were strong, the timing? Absolutely terrible. This is a league that, by its own admission, hasn't turned a profit once in 26 years. 26. That's not an opinion, that's math. The WNBA has been in the red since 1997, and now players are suddenly demanding higher salaries like they're in year 5 of the NBA's billion-dollar revenue run.
Only going to get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year she's not playing well, she's hurt, she's not there for all the games.
What should have been a story about players demanding respect turned into a sideshow about who didn't show up to a meeting. Let's be clear, Caitlin Clark wasn't there because she was injured. That's not my opinion. That's from the official July 19th injury report, which confirmed Clark was nursing a groin injury and had been ruled out of All-Star Weekend in advance. And yet, Plum still called her out in front of a live mic, like Clark skipped out of laziness or ego. At that moment, every camera in that room stopped caring about the shirt protest and zoomed in on the drama. And then, the receipts started coming in. According to ESPN ticket data, once news broke that Clark wouldn't be playing in the All-Star game, ticket prices for the event at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis plummeted from an average of $121 down to $64. That's a nearly 50% crash. And no, that's not a coincidence. That's Caitlin Clark's market power in real time. Even injured, she's still the biggest draw.
He added that they're making it harder on themselves by criticizing the very same player who has a hand in making all this happen.
She doesn't even have to step onto the court to affect revenue. Her absence drops prices, kills energy, and sends fans home disappointed. And yet somehow some of her own peers thought this was the perfect time to take shots at her.
Caitlin Clark, why? Stacy King posted.
Let's stop pretending this was a moment of accountability. It wasn't. It was petty, poorly executed, and tone deaf. You want better pay? Then don't humiliate the one player who's actually moving the needle. Clark is the reason the WNBA is finally being taken seriously in media deals.
Sabrina Ionescu did not like this shit, by the way.
And you can just see, even with the way Sabrina Ionescu's reacting, she's like, what did you just say?
And right in front of Sabrina Ionescu, right there, right next to her, you have no shame. This woman's just trashy, dog. Like, Kelsey Plum is trashy, bro. That's the reason why Darren Waller left your ass.
As of July 2025, multiple outlets, including Front Office Sports, have reported that the league is in talks for a multi-year broadcast rights package, and the uptick in viewership is almost entirely tied to games involving Clark. So when Stacy King said, "You're sabotaging your own pay negotiations by taking shots at the only player making this money possible," he wasn't exaggerating. He was giving the league a reality check. And Caitlin Clark's response? Quiet, brutal, and smarter than anything said in that press conference. She didn't rant, she didn't clap back with a Notes app apology, and she didn't go on ESPN. She went to Instagram and dropped just 6 words under a Kelsey Plum post. "Thank you for the Nike ad." 6 words. That's it. And it sent shockwaves.
But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline.
Why was that so lethal? Because Caitlin Clark is a Nike athlete. Kelsey Plum is with Under Armour. So when Plum posted a photo of herself, which included Nike gear in the background, Clark's comment turned the entire thing into free advertising for her own brand. It was so slick that most casual viewers missed it. But insiders, agents, and media heads, they knew. It was a PR kill shot. Clark didn't just respond, she flipped the entire narrative into a brand win. That's not a clapback, that's a hostile takeover.
Because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle. And here's the other thing to remember. Caitlin Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements, off the court.
While Plum's comment exposed her as petty and emotional, Clark's reply proved she's operating in an entirely different class. She knew exactly what she was doing. No hashtags, no subtweets, just a single line that hijacked the conversation without looking bitter or messy. She didn't need to defend herself, she let the scoreboard do it for her. And while the rest of the league keeps swinging at her in pressers, Clark's out here building an empire. And that's the problem. While Plum's out here tossing middle school jabs, Clark is playing long game. She's building her image, her endorsements, and her influence, all while recovering from injury. She's turning PR disasters into marketing opportunities without even raising her voice. And the rest of the league? Still trying to figure out why people don't show up to their games when she's not there.
All right, you went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
Caitlin Clark didn't just miss the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game, she collapsed its entire economy for the weekend without even showing up. The second news broke that she was out with a groin injury. Ticket prices for the July 20th event at Gainbridge Fieldhouse dropped from $121 to $64, according to data from ESPN Ticket Partners. That wasn't a slow fade, that was a free fall, a 47% crash, overnight. You could have bought an all-star ticket and had enough change left over for parking, popcorn, and a pay us what you owe us t-shirt. And she didn't even have to be in the building. That's how much power Clark holds.
And I'm very interested to see what those ratings look like. What kind of a mess is the ratings going to be like?
Let's talk about viewership first. Before Clark, games featuring the league's top stars, like 2x MVP Aja Wilson, rarely cracked 400,000 viewers. That's with ESPN coverage, studio segments, and full media rollouts. Wilson's most hyped appearances in 2023 and early 2024 hovered between 329,000 and 380,000 viewers, according to Nielsen reports. Enter Clark. In May and June of 2025 alone, she pulled in over 1 million viewers multiple times, including 1.13 million for her May 18th matchup against the Sparks. That wasn't the finals. That was a regular season game. Now compare that to the All-Star game. Without Clark, it limped across the finish line. The preliminary ratings from July 20th came in under 500K. Despite being aired in primetime and hyped as a celebration of women's basketball. Translation: the numbers don't lie. Clark isn't just helping the league, she is the league right now. She's the only player with crossover appeal, casual fan interest, and consistent pull with sponsors, media buyers, and networks. This isn't an opinion. This is market correction happening in real time. One commentator on Fox bluntly summarized the situation best: you don't diss your meal ticket. And yet, that's exactly what happened.
NBA champion and now broadcaster Stacy King surmised that the shade guard LA Sparks, the guard, I guess it's supposed to be, the shade that the guard Kelsey Plum threw. There, I corrected it.
While WNBA veterans were busy downplaying Clark's absence and tossing out passive-aggressive jabs, NBA legends were out here doing damage control for a league they don't even play in. Let's start with Stacy King, a 3-time NBA champion who knows what a winning culture looks like.
Indiana Fever megastar Caitlin Clark, come on Yahoo Sports, during the post-game press conference indicates the pettiness that may come back to haunt the CBA negotiations.
On July 21st, he publicly slammed Kelsey Plum for her All-Star press conference comments, calling them petty and self-sabotaging. His exact quote: "As you're fighting for better salaries, you're portraying a united front at your biggest event. You still find a way to throw shade at Caitlin Clark. Why?" That wasn't criticism. That was a professional intervention.
Among those weighing in on the situation, and Colin has some hard truth to speak to the ladies of the WNBA, and let's listen.
Colin Cowherd jumped in next, and when Cowherd talks, sports media listens. On his July 22nd broadcast of The Herd, he torched the WNBA's culture of jealousy and short-sightedness. His quote went viral: "You went from Motel 6 to the Ritz. Stop complaining." He wasn't being metaphorical. He literally compared the pre-Clark WNBA to a sketchy motel and said Clark had upgraded the entire league overnight. Cowherd also admitted something wild. He never covered the WNBA at all until Clark arrived. Now, he's changing his vacation schedule to make room for her games and segments. Let that sink in. The #1 sports radio host in the country now times his content around Caitlin Clark. Not Steph, not LeBron, Clark.
Issues to yourself. All right, you went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
Charles Barkley? Same energy. On TNT's Inside the NBA, Barkley said the quiet part out loud. "I don't know what these women are doing. They got a star and they're treating her like a problem." Shaq agreed, calling Clark the future of the league and slamming the WNBA players for failing to rally around her. These aren't just any analysts, these are the faces of basketball commentary in America, and they're all saying the same thing: cut the ego, cut the jealousy, and figure it out before you ruin what little momentum you have. And the worst part? These weren't anonymous potshots. Every criticism came with receipts. Stacy King backed his up with ticket drops and viewer data. Cowherd cited sponsorships and Google Trends. Barkley pointed out the marketing campaign that now revolves almost entirely around one player. There's no escaping it. The business is booming, but only when Clark's involved, and everyone outside the WNBA locker room seems to understand that. The numbers are clear. The reactions are clear. The consequences? Also clear. Yet somehow, some players still think they're being bold by mocking the one person bringing all the money to the table. That's not brave. That's just bad business.